Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I'm going to go through all the topics, updates, recaps, all the juicy stuff. I am going to be covering Hunting Wives on Netflix. I'm going to put that towards the end of the show, so if you don't want spoilers or whatever, but I need to discuss it because it's the #2 show, whatever, and it's crazy. But first, I want to also tell you, if you want more Heather in your lives, we have a special YouTube channel that is more lifestyle, and there's 2 hilarious long videos on there. I want you to subscribe. I hope you're subscribing to this one. And the links will be in the bios, so please like, share, do all that good stuff so that I can do more of these fun things for you here. Also, as you know, I will be November 14th in Vegas. Those tickets are at heathermcdonald.net. All that information, and of course, how to join Patreon and enjoy more Juicy Scoop on the 3 different levels that I have. Make sure you go to heathermcdonald.net. Okay, let's get into it. Little update on the Denise Richards saga that is going on, which is her impending divorce, which just sounds like a horrible nightmare. There is still some controversy about this situation, but nothing's been like super reported. They're hearing about different things. So these are rumors that one of the reasons why Denise went to the house that allegedly she owns and had it for years before she ever married Aaron. And they, according to people who watch the show, she said, this was our house, but since his parents needed a place to stay, they were supposed to stay 3 months. It's been 3 years. So the parents and the brothers were there conveniently to see and witness what they claim was erratic and scary behavior on Denise's part when she came to retrieve one of the dogs. The rumors are the reason that she felt she had to go at that time and get her dog, though she went knowing that he was not there, Aaron. He's claiming he saw that she was coming, and to avoid a violation of the restraining order, which she had put on him, which means she's not to come near him either, he went out the back door. And then he's the one who called the police to say that his parents were frightened of her. Is that allegedly she said he euthanized one of her dogs, or that's what people are saying. And that is why she wanted to go and get the other dog. I don't know that that's true. Other reports are saying that's not true, but it's awful. And it's awful if these people that are her ex-husbands to be parents, who she claims is an abuser, he claims abuse on her side, cheating on her side, showing screen grabs. He had taken her laptop and her phone, and she won on that in getting it back because she was afraid that he would be utilizing it. It's a really ugly, messy divorce. We know that she has filmed some with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We talked about in the last episode. So, what a nightmare. You know, how do you get these people out of your house? If you're unaware, squatters have more rights than owners, in a sense, especially in California. It's a very, very long process to get somebody out, whether you allowed them to stay and then they started getting mails sent to their. One of the things that people do is if you ask, oh, would you like to stay here for a while? They immediately change their address to your address. And then when you try to get rid of them, they can show that, oh, look, I live here to the judge. I live here. So therefore, they can't kick me out. And it just takes a long time. It can take as short as 4 months, as long as many years, but it takes a long time. So I don't know where she is in the process of trying to get them out, or because they're married, somehow is this marital property that he can have his parents live in. I don't know. It just sounds like a mess, but it's very frustrating, I think, to anybody that hears this story to think that you've worked your whole life. You had this house before you married this husband. He, allegedly was abusive to you and horrible to you, and to the point that you were so afraid that when you went on the reality show and this story gets out that you had a rendezvous with Brandy Glanville and she thought you guys had an open marriage, and she is terrified. And that is why she got the cease and desist. She did not want that out on the show, not because of, I think she, wouldn't care if she wasn't with Aaron. It was all out of fear of how Aaron would react. And now it all makes so much sense. And it is really terrible. So that's where we are with that. I hope it's not true, or I hope if something did happen with the dog, it was medically, recommended by a vet. I don't know. I don't know the story, but this is all over the news. Okay. Let's talk about the Valley reunion. Now, if you are not watching the Valley, I'm telling you, you're going to want to hear my thoughts on this. I watched it twice. I watched it last night, and then I watched the uncut version this morning on Peacock, because it was fascinating. The word narcissistic, you're a narc, you're narcissism. The word has become very, very popular in the last 5 years in podcasts and people claiming other people are that. And there's always a thing. Is it vanity? No, it's not vanity. It's specific traits. And some people can be on the spectrum, and some people can have some, and some people, they hit every single one. In my opinion, I think Jax Taylor has proven to hit every single one of the narcissistic traits in his behavior, how he views himself. And it was really quite fascinating on last night's episode, and just heartbreaking. So as we know, Brittany and he have been together 10 years, married 6, I think. They share a son who is 4, named Cruz. And what was really great is that you see Zach. Zach has been Brittany's friend since they were for 17 years, and he's on the show. And he's very much not a fan of Jax. He thinks he's a liar. He thinks he's an awful narcissistic person who's been abusive to his good friend, Brittany. So the two of them are really saying it. And she really has become so strong and so different when you watched how she would defend him all those years. And Andy brings that up. And she, sitting there, she's like, yeah, because I have to put up with you for the rest of my life. And you are like, God, you do have to put up with him for the rest of your life. And it's amazing what he admits to. And she's like, you pick fights with me. And he's like, I know, I do pick fights with you. Why? Because sometimes I don't know. I think we should break up. But then other times I'm like, maybe we shouldn't. And she's like, and that's messing with my heart. Like, why are you doing that? And he's like, I do blame you all the time, and I shouldn't. It's not your fault. But yes, I do. I do choose to blame you. I do. And, we always hear about narcissists who want to ruin if you're having a big day, if it's Christmas, if it's a big event for you and you're in a relationship with a hardcore narcissist, they'll set out that day to ruin it. And you kind of wonder, are they conscious of doing this? Do they plan it out the night before? According to Jax, which is kind of fascinating, he knows he's doing it. He knows he's doing it. He knows he's doing it for a reason. Zach pointed it out. Whenever, Brittany has something great going on, he sets out to destroy it, to break her spirit, all of it. And it was just fascinating and heartbreaking and really crazy to watch. And one thing that Zach, the friend, brought up is that he always refers to Cruz as my son, my son, my son, my son. Throughout the entire episode, and I can't say for the first part because I didn't recently watch it, he always says my son. He doesn't say our son, and he doesn't call him by Cruz. And that's important because Brittany says Cruz, Brittany says our son. And according to people who study narcissism, that is a trait that people see their child, if they're a narcissistic parent, as an extension of themselves, a representative of themselves. So if they're doing great, they want to take, ownership of that. And if they're not, that's an issue. And it was shocking. Like, honestly, it was shocking. At least you have some notes on here because there was so much going on. So we see their thing going on, and the fact that then they get into the fact that Cruz has been diagnosed with autism. I thought that was handled very well. I knew this through when he was diagnosed. I was talking to some of the members that are close friends of hers, cast members, and they were all so touched by her strength. And she says, it takes a period of time to find out what the diagnosis is. You don't want a doctor to diagnose something that they're not positive about it. And she went through all of that by herself while Jax was in rehab. And she's like, it would have been great to have my partner there. I'm going to say yes if your partner wasn't Jax. This is a hard thing. And I know there's very high statistics of especially when it's a boy, is diagnosed with autism, the marriage does not last. It does not work out. And the mother, in 90%, 95% of the cases, is the one who sticks by and is the caretaker. And they break up, and the man might be an active participant, maybe not. I don't know. It's a very, very difficult thing. And I think when you think about Jax and that this all happened, they weren't sure about it, but I'm guessing, they said probably for a year before they sought help, they probably both saw the signs, and that was all happening while, he's freaking out about the new Valley show happening, coming off the fact that he was fired from these, from the Valley, and she was making the money. And it just was a perfect storm for a personality like Jax. They get into the fact that he says, yeah, I love drugs and alcohol. I love doing cocaine. I've been abusing it for 20 years. And Jason, Janet's husband, is like, you got to realize if he's been doing cocaine for 20 years, just being off of it for 6 months is not going to, it's going to take a while for it to get out of his system. Finishing up with Jax and Brittany, it was really heartbreaking because she has real love for him. And, this part was interesting. She said, he's like, I'm alone every night. I'm alone while you guys, get to film and be with each other is basically what he's saying. I'm alone by myself every night. And she's like, then why are all these girls DMing me with screen grabs of you love bombing them and asking them to move in? He's like, I never asked anyone to move in. I believe he's a love bomber, which is also a sign of this personality, especially with men. She's like, I was love bombed by you. And he said, oh, you were never my type. I was never your type. Now he's like victiming. I was never your type. Your friends told me if you never met me, you would have married a doctor or an NBA player and lived in Kentucky. She's like, those people are fans that DM'd you. They were not my friends. Like, why are you believing this random stuff? And what she said is what has been told to me from the moment I started watching the show and interviewing these people is that she is an extremely genuine person. She did not seek out to go on Vanderpump. She was at a bar in Vegas and he approached her and pursued her and everything. And every single person co-signs on that story. And this is her life now. And this is how she provides for Cruz, her son. And she finds herself in this predicament with this guy. And it's a nightmare. And she said, you said, Jax, that I ruined your life because you had to go to rehab. You blamed me for you having to go to rehab and therefore not being able to film and being in this position. When what was she supposed to do? He showed abusive behavior. They talk about him pushing her in the rose bush, which you saw in the last episode where she had, I guess, ring camera footage of it. She has shared it with at least a few people in the cast, and they were nodding their head. I don't know where that footage is now. I'm assuming she showed it to the producers, or they heard what the other people saw. I've also read that she, in fact, then deleted it after, which I could see that happening too. This is the father of her child. This is someone that she clearly she says, it is very hard. It's much easier to leave when you're done. I wasn't done. I was forced to leave a person I loved. You forced me to leave. And that was just heartbreaking. And then Andy says, do you still love Brittany? And he wouldn't answer. And Kristen was so sweet. She's like, I think you do. I know I would if I were you. And he's like, I don't want to answer this. I don't want to answer this. And she's like, well, you never fought for me. You never fought for me. And it was fascinating. It was really real. I know some people are going to say it's dark. It's probably triggering if you've been in a relationship with a guy like this, if you're going through a custody battle, if you're a young mom, I can imagine. But I just really appreciated the realness on all of it. I can see why he's not coming back to the show as of now and, everything that's going on. But I also want to say that she is such a grateful person, and she's like, I put on this earth to be Cruz's mom, and I'm happy to share about the autism because I believe I'm helping so many people not be in denial, get the pre-kindergarten help that you need, one there for the speech therapy and all that stuff. And she really has, used her platform in such a positive way. But I also want to say that I think that Cruz's diagnosis is the reason that she's out of this relationship. And for all the reasons, his reaction, his knowing that she has to do better for her son, knowing that her son needs to have a calm, safe area. I think if maybe that wasn't the case with her child, she probably would have had another child with him, and she probably would have kept with this denial and putting herself last on the list. And so that was very exciting. The rest of the episode was really good too. It's very strange how they still are bringing up the fact that, they believe that Danny has an alcohol problem. And one thing that was interesting is he's like, Danny goes, Jax, I don't know why you came after me. And I think he was, really putting what he was going through. He wanted to shove it on someone else. And I think he was jealous of Nia and Danny's perfect life with their family. And they're both so attractive and they have such a loving marriage. And so he has an issue with alcohol. He does. He gets blackout drunk. He says that. Whatever happens, whether he inadvertently, jokingly grabs someone who's not his wife and she feels uncomfortable, that's bad. Or if he doesn't remember and he didn't do it and he still comes home and passes out, that's bad. So that's all been exposed. And of course, they're together and they're defending themselves, but they're also not, saying that this didn't happen. But he was like, why did you do this, Jax? Why? And Jax is like, I don't know why. You were the nicest, best friends I had in this whole group. You were wonderful to me. And I, was an awful person, and I don't blame you if you never want to be my friend again. I mean, it was really interesting to watch. And with that whole thing with Janet and Jason and how drunk or ill-behaved Danny was, that just continues on. And I kind of feel the audience is sort of split on it. I sort of see both sides. I think this really all did happen. However, to an audience member, it seems like you're beating a dead horse. And so it's a whole thing. And then Michelle and Jesse talk about their marriage and if she in fact cheated. And she said, I know that you brought this all up on camera and put out this dumb rumor that you knew was fake, that I was a $1,500 a night prostitute, so that the audience and the public would turn on me. And he basically admitted that too, which is pretty sick, being that they also share a child and are married. And then according to the internet, the boyfriend that she had on the show, Aaron, who does the honey and has the big eyes, they're not following each other. And on ex-girlfriend day, he did a thirst trap and his body does look amazing. And he's looking down at his camera, so the googly eyes aren't there. And it says, staying strong ain't easy. So she's going to do just fine in life too. I don't think we need this thirst bucket to see any more of him. Is the wellness world making you feel like you're not doing enough lately? Not drinking enough water, doing the right 3-hour skincare routine, all of it? Well, what you really should be doing is seeing a real doctor, one who can actually help you figure out the right health plan for you. ZocDoc makes that part easy by giving you tons of doctors to choose from and letting you book in seconds directly on their website. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. With ZocDoc, you can book in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/juicy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/juicy, ZocDoc.com/juicy. You know how hard it is just to quiet your mind? You're like, I need to go to sleep. And then you're stressed that you're not sleeping. And you're like thinking about what you have to do tomorrow. And did you set the alarm? And well, let me tell you what can help. And that's Boll & Branch sheets can help you truly unwind with a softness so extraordinary your whole body relaxes into sleep. Boll & Branch's signature sheets are made free from toxins with the finest 100% organic cotton. They feel so buttery, soft to the touch. And what I love is they actually get softer with every wash. I absolutely love them. I barely wear a tank top because I love how soft they feel on my body, on my legs, and they keep me cool. And I just wake up and I just cannot wait to get in them every night. Feel the difference an extraordinary night's sleep can make with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/juicyscoop. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/juicyscoop to save 15% and unlock free shipping. Exclusions apply. But on the good news, Brittany just posted this before Brittany of the Valley just posted this before I sat down to record. She said, so I did a thing. Watch me get my ass kicked on season 4 of Special Forces Fox. So some of the people that I do know, this is all reality stars. So a couple of these people I don't really know. But the ones of interest besides Brittany is Cody from Sister Wives. Oh my God. This is going to be amazing. And if you haven't watched Special Forces, it's my worst nightmare. It's very physical. It's literally like training to be a Navy SEAL. But to make it juicy, it's not just them doing physical work. It's them working together, them bonding, but also then they go in and they speak to these people who were special forces that kind of break down. Tom Sandoval was on it last year, break down what they were going through. So if you're familiar with these characters or or you follow their lives or you listen to Juicy Scoop, there are some really great scenes where they, are really breaking down and kind of sharing things that they never have on the show. So that's also why it's really juicy. But it's very physically difficult. And some people, get dropped or whatever the first day. But who's in it besides Brittany and Cody is Teresa and Gia, mother and daughter. That could be fun. Eva from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Since she's not been on Atlanta, she's been on so many different shows. She's stunning and fun to watch. Jussie Smollett. Oh my God. So, what is is this going to come out? Jussie Smollett, as you know, is the one that, made up the story according to a court of law and police that when at 2:30 in the morning, he went down to go get a Subway sandwich and 2 masked men wearing MAGA hats, attacked him and put a noose around his neck and did this whole horrible racist thing. It turned out they were 2 men he knew. He paid them to do this, to set this up for, to be a victim, to publicize himself. It was an awful time for it to happen in history. It was something we all did not need. So, we knew this was coming. We knew his career wasn't going to be done. I don't know why Sherry Papini is not on here, but she'll probably be on next with Jessie. Okay, let's see. There's this girl named Jessie who's a singer. I don't know her. Eric is an NFL player. Randall's an NFL player. So, they're going to do great in the physical stuff. Sean, I forgot her last name, but she's the Olympic gymnast, so she'll do great. Let me see who else I know. Oh, Brianna Chicken Fry. That was the girl that has a very popular podcast and personality who fell in love with the Zach Bryan. I always mix all the country people up, but Zach Bryan was a blonde hair. He looked like a blonde Lego too. And he cheated on her and treated her horribly, and she exposed the whole thing on her show and on social media. And I think there's still some drama going on with the two of them, but that's pretty juicy. Ravi, he's an actor. You'd recognize him from a lot of shows. So, I mean, about half are professional athletes. There's a female soccer player, football players, and then the other half are reality show people. So it'll be very interesting. I have never watched a whole season all the way through. So I'm definitely going to start watching this. And I think it's going to be fantastic for Brittany, and hopefully she stays longer than, one night. Okay. Also in reality show news, since we talked a lot about this on the show, this is very interesting. As we know, Teddi Mellencamp from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and John Mellencamp's daughter, and she's a podcaster, has been battling first skin cancer and then brain cancer. I don't know if it's brain cancer, but tumors, everything. So she, is recovering from her surgery of that and, being very open on her own show and whatnot about what she went through. Between being cancer-free from the skin cancer and this latest battle with the brain, the news broke that while she was married to Edwin, whom she shares 3 children with, she had an affair with a also married horse trainer. She's always been into horses, and she's an equestrian, and I believe her kids are involved in doing equestrian stuff too as well. And this guy was married. He had, I think, a couple kids and one on the way, and they were all part of this equestrian life. And so it was really quite shocking, and people talked about it, being that, she's an accountability coach and this and that when we saw her on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she was the one calling out Lisa Vanderpump for the whole dog puppy gate thing. She was the one that was calling out Denise Richards for allegedly having a rendezvous with Brandi Glanville and trying to deny it. And she's always like holding people to the flame. And what she reveals in this latest interview, and it's really heartbreaking because she's, you can tell she's suffering in this battle that she's in, is that right after she accepted that she would be on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, fun chapter with her life, she has her I think 2 kids at that time with Edwin and a stepdaughter. She's agreed to go on the show. They're all ready to go on the show. It gets revealed that he has had an affair with a woman that she considered a friend. She knew who she was. And the way she found out is the woman called her and told her. And it appears from what I've seen from the interview is that this woman was like blackmailing her. And she said for not even a lot of money, like, this will get out just as you're going to become a public person on one of the biggest reality shows, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So, I don't know how they settled it with this woman or who the woman is, but they decided to stay together. She said she had to beg for him to stay with her, which was weird, but they stayed together and they went on the show. And as an audience member, we thought they had a great marriage. And she said that's why when people see her now and they watch old episodes, they're like, it's like 2 different people. And I think it's because she was kind of acting and she was going through all that. And it's very interesting because she's like, you think you can get over it. Maybe I never did. And maybe that's why then the cheating went in reverse. And I sought out this other person and had this illicit affair with the horse training guy. And it was very sad. And she's like, nobody sets out to hurt multiple people when you have an affair. But inevitably, when you have an affair and you're married and the person is married, it's quadruple. And then you have kids, and it's a ripple effect. And it was pretty fascinating to see her, say all that and take that kind of responsibility as one should. And so it was very sad. And then she said, and I wondered, by having this affair with this married man while I was married, creating this ultimate pain for so many people, the kids, everybody, was this the catalyst? Like, was God punishing me and causing me to get sick again? And which is very, very heartbreaking, but you can't blame someone in her position to think that. You're always, whenever something bad happens to you, you're like, why me? And if you had this thing that you had that was wrong and you felt guilt about, it was horrible. So she says it all. And so, a lot of the clips are going around, and it was very interesting and very sad. But, and then it makes you think about, Sheena, who is going back on the Valley. I think I don't know if it's 100%, but the Sun is reporting, other people are reporting it. And we're going to see how her life is now that the Band-Aid has been ripped off the affair that Brock had while she was pregnant with their daughter with this woman. And it wasn't a one-night stand. And it was, and the way she explains it in her book is that, he was doing self-destructive behavior by being with another woman because he didn't think he deserved this great life of having a second chance at fatherhood. And he apologized to her, and he's written. And so we're going to see. I mean, we didn't get to see it with them. That was not something that was shared when she came on the show. And I don't blame her. If nobody knew, why would you share it right when you come on the show? But it is very similar. Like now when people look back on old episodes of Vanderpump Rules, and you see how Sheena's reacting to Tom Sandoval and the cheating and everything, knowing now, we know that she was carrying this of discovering that Brock had done that to her. And the discovery came while the whole Tom Sandoval, Ariana thing was going on. So as someone that I think the most fascinating thing why I'm entertained by reality TV and why I talk about it on this show is because it relates to our lives as women, as mothers. And these are two stories that are very relatable and juicy. And whether you've been, a cheater or been cheated on, or you obviously know somebody and you knew that it happened, and sometimes your friend does stay with the person, and then your friendship is never the same because you just can't look at their husband the way you did prior to knowing, and you're like, and then they're embarrassed that they shared that with you. Now exemplify that by millions and millions of people because you're on a reality show. So, very, very sad, and we hope that she gets better. Also, it's a fun summer in the Hamptons. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills are filming there. And it's really kind of interesting to read the comments and stuff of how the Hamptons has just become, according to people, not what it used to be. I feel like we've been hearing about the Hamptons for 20 plus years in the pop culture zeitgeist. I mean, the reason that one of the reasons that they came up with the idea of White Chicks is because they would see these stories about the Hamptons, in page 6 in the Post. And of course, it was modeled after the wild life that Paris and Nikki Hilton were leading. Those were the Wilson sisters, and, and then the Hamptons and all this. And I remember when I was working on White Chicks with the Wayans brothers, they said, here, watch this show, which was like a 1 or 2, I think it was a 1-season show that was on TV about a summer in the Hamptons, where it was Summer House before Summer House. And it was, this one girl, she's publicist, the whole thing, and her friends. And it was done, right before we wrote the movie. So like early, like 2000, 2001. I think prior to 9/11, when this show came out. And they would leave New York City on a Thursday afternoon and try to get out to the city and the parties and this and it was like, oh my God, what is this place? That was the first time I ever even really knew about it. I had an aunt that lived in Sag Harbor that I had visited once, and I was supposed to go visit with Peter, but then the trip got changed. It's a whole nother story. But anyway, I had never really experienced it. And so you're always like, what are these parties like? What is this? And now with social media and these reality shows, it's like so many people go there and you can't get into the cool restaurants that once were. It's become very, very crowded and busy, and all these shows are filming there. And I just wonder if you're someone that just was going there with your rich family all these years, how do you feel about it? Or maybe you're like, I don't care. Don't need to go to those crap restaurants ever. I just stay in my, $50 million house. I don't know. It's very interesting, but I think it's fun when these shows go, and I'm excited to see them in the Hamptons. I feel like we haven't really seen the Beverly Hills girls be there. This summer, don't let thinning hair hold you back. With Nutrafol, see visibly less hair shedding and show up where it matters most. Whether you're dancing at a wedding, lounging on the beach, or posing for a quick picture on the night out with friends, you want your hair to look great. And Nutrafol can do that for you. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. Anything truly worthwhile takes time and effort. And with Nutrafol, see thicker, stronger, faster growing hair and less shedding in just 3 to 6 months. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to a free one-on-one naturopathic doctor consults to support you and your hair growth journey, and a Headspace meditation membership is included. This summer, stop worrying about your hair and start making memories. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our Juicy Scoop listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code JuicyScoop. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code JuicyScoop. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code JuicyScoop. Some people get a haircut or a book or a spontaneous trip when life throws them a curveball. But Molly, well, she went a little further. After a life-changing diagnosis, she dove headfirst into a world of no-strings-attached sex, secret rendezvous, forbidden affairs, sexcapades, and unforgettable adventures. It wasn't just about pleasure. It was about feeling alive, embracing desire, and rewriting her own story. And every wild, outrageous, and heartfelt detail unfolds in Dying for Sex, Wondery's award-winning podcast that's now a TV series starring Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate. But there's even more to the stories. In brand new bonus episodes, host Nikki Boyer, my friend, sits down with the cast to spill all the spicy details from behind-the-scenes moments to what it was like bringing Molly's unforgettable journey to life. Desire, friendship, self-discovery, and the ultimate bucket list of pleasure. This is a story that had everyone talking. Listen to the original Dying for Sex, plus new bonus episodes on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Binge the original series before anyone else, complete ad-free on Wondery Plus. Cookie Jam is a free match 3 game that you can play on your phone or your tablet, and you match 3 cookies or candy to clear the board and solve puzzles. You guys, it is so fun, and it really just helps my mind. I feel like too often I'm using my phone to read Juicy Scoop or sad news or funny whatever, and I feel like I'm working all the time. And that is why I love this game, because it's fun. It keeps my mind sharp. It's adorable, and you could explore the world of Cookie Jam with Chef Panda and his adorable panda family as you swap, crush, and jam your way through fantastical bakery-themed islands. It is so cute. You could score big with explosive cookie matches, powerful boosters, and daily rewards. Join limited-time events to win sweet prizes and speed through puzzles. You deserve a treat. Join over 100 million Match 3 players and download Cookie Jam today. Okay, I am not that familiar with Hulk Hogan. Hogan knows best his whole life. He did just pass, but there's some interesting stuff in here about his daughter Brooke and his life. So Hulk Hogan, for those that are like, yeah, what is the deal with this guy? He was this larger than life character in in the world wrestling world, okay, which I never watched, I never was into. We know it was fake, whatever. So in the earlier days of reality TV, kind of around the Osbournes, it was Hogan Knows Best. And it was he and his blonde wife and their two teenage kids they were all four blondes, like tan, living in Florida or something. And Brooke was a teenage daughter, and she, like most reality stars, gets into singing a little bit, whatever. And the show ends, and right after that, he and his wife that he had forever got divorced. And according to her, he was a serial cheater. And then there was this sex tape scandal that was so crazy, where he was having sex with someone he knew her because it was his ex-wife's friend. I don't know the storyline of all this because it's just too much. And somehow Gawker showed some of it on their site, and then he sued and he won. And for privacy violation, they settled at like $31 million, and it was a big mess. Then he was recorded saying racist things about Brooke and her boyfriend or something. She stopped contact with him and also her mother, Linda, which is interesting. And then he married someone else. Then they got divorced. And then his last wife, he, according to Brooke in her latest interview, was a Scientologist. And he said to her, I don't want to marry her. And she's like, okay, well then don't. And they did get married. And Brooke went and talked to Mike Rinder. He has since passed, but he was the one that was doing all the Scientology shows. He and Leah Remini were ex-Scientologists. And she even sought his counsel, like, how concerned should I be if my dad marries this woman? And so they were always they were not in a good place. He gets married and she did not attend his wedding, Brooke. And then when she got married, I think it was before he got married the third time, she asked him, can you come to my wedding? Can you walk me down the aisle? And he's just like, no, I don't do weddings or funerals, and I'm not getting off the beach to go to your wedding. I'm very strange and very juicy. Every family has their own weird dynamics. And she said, I still loved my dad, and that's why we still were having contact. So he didn't go to her wedding. She didn't go to his. She also did not attend his funeral. She also asked to be removed from the will, which is very interesting. And she said, I didn't want to fight with Linda. And she called her own mom. That's her mom, Linda. And Linda's like, I don't know why Brooke cut me out when she cut her dad out, since we weren't together. And now she wants to get on with her life, get back into music. We haven't really heard or seen much from her besides this interview that she did with a friend of hers. But I did not understand. I never really followed this world because I wasn't a fan of the show. Didn't really get it. I didn't really like his persona. And then, he was a cheater and, said these horrible racist things and, then wrote the stupid apology. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. Okay, but still, you said it. It's on camera. Gross. But I really feel for her as a daughter. You had this famous dad. Again, she was put on a reality show as a teenager. Do they really, can a teenager really say, give consent? Does anyone really know what that was like? Seems like she's doing great now. She's married with kids, but fascinating. And I definitely want to see what she'll do. And I find it very interesting. So Brooke Hogan, please come on my show. I want to ask so many more questions about your life. Okay. Now, and just like that, we've got 2 episodes left. Couple things that I've seen swirling around that, again, rumors, whatever, are that there was going to be a financial bonus, allegedly, for maybe Sarah Jessica Parker if it was doing if the ratings were doing better, and they weren't. So that's one thing I heard, that's why it ended. The other was in research people have done that it was the first time she was hearing like really negative things about her looks. I disagree with that because when Sex and the City was so popular, there was so many mean, jokey things done, saying that she looked like a witch and she had the mole and all of this. And why do people think she's hot? So I think she's very used to the criticism about her unique looks. And I love her looks. I think she looks great particularly in this season. I think she even looks prettier. But it's not odd that certain actors don't ever watch themselves. And she has said, I don't watch the show. But one of the other things someone said of why they felt the show was falling flat and very disappointing, along with all the other reasons I've said, is that in the old show, Sex and the City, we saw a lot of them together, the 4 girls together, doing things together, going out to dinner, being at nightclubs, doing things. And then we would just see small glimpses of Charlotte on a bad date, a quick glimpse of, Samantha being like, you've got some funky tasting spunk. And then we'd see them at the diner talking about it. And I realized that when this person brought that up, I'm like, you're right. We had all these new characters and we just did not see them doing that much together. Now, taking the character Samantha out of it made that dynamic, but I think that was a mistake. Now, that could have been done where no one thought about it. It could have been done because it's a budget issue and, getting everybody together at certain times. We're able to film maybe certain things at the same time. I don't know, but it was another reason why the show failed. So we have 2 more episodes. I told you what I want the ending to be. I will be talking about the episode for sure on next week and on Patreon, of course, over the weekend, because I just have to see if anything I'm going to say is going to predict, or I'll do it on my, hopefully I do these videos. I'll do a recap on my Instagram and TikTok, which is at Heather McDonald. So just watch because I can't help myself. But also very interesting is, and then we're going to move on from and just like that. But this pretty blonde girl who had a funny part, and I thought it was the best storyline of the whole season, which is Brady, Miranda, and Steve's son reveals that he got a girl that he barely knows pregnant, and Miranda goes incognito as just a customer wanting to get her hair washed by this young girl. And it's a good scene. It's a funny scene. That girl is Ben Stiller and Christine Taylor's daughter, the girl playing the mother to Brady's child, which is really interesting for those of us that are fans, is because Ben Stiller's mother played Brady's grandmother. Steve's mother was Anne Murin, who is a famous, a comedic. His parents, Ben Stiller's parents, were like the funniest couple ever. And both of them were just famous, and they were a famous couple, a famous, funny couple together. And I believe his dad's Jewish and she's Irish Catholic, and they were just like always in movies together and did funny things together. So they produced Ben Stiller. And so he was the first like funny Nepo baby. Like when I was seeing his MTV show, I was like, oh my God. And my mom would be like, oh, his parents are both like hilarious actors. And then he married a very funny actress, Christine Taylor, who was one of the funniest parts was she played Marcia in the Brady Bunch remake movies. And she's been in lots of things. And they're still together, though. They did have they did file for divorce and they got back together, which there's nothing I love more than when a couple breaks up and then they get back together after their kids move out. Because it's like, they always say, it's not your fault that we're breaking up. And it's like, kids, well, maybe it was, because now you're gone and we're back together. It's like, maybe it was. We always loved each other. It was just those awful roommates we had all those years, Anyway, so they're on the red carpet with her. And that is fun and juicy and a hilarious little like Easter egg. I will give the casting people props for that because, of course, this actress's grandmother is playing his grandmother in the show and they have a baby together. And the whole thing is just, that part is cool. It's confusing, but it's cool. And something I didn't know when I watched it, but I did think she was a good actress. Sydney Sweeney's cousin, a little update on the Jean controversy. She dropped a song about blue jeans. And her name is, her Instagram is Ash Reuter. I think her name is Ashley Reuter. And she's blonde and cute. And so, way to capitalize on the cousin. And you should. And it was a good song. She's a cute girl and she can sing. Justin Timberlake last week revealed that he has Lyme disease. And this comes after he's on this world tour and there was a lot of videos of him doing that thing that sometimes performers do. And you can do it a little bit, but you can't do it every song. And according to the viral videos, he was doing a lot of it where she's like, you sing it. Da, 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 da. And I got this going on. Sing it. And he wasn't really singing and he wasn't really dancing. And it was like, what is going on? So got a lot of criticism for that. People are paying all this money and we don't need the whole crowd singing the song. Like, we want to hear you sing it. So I'm not doubting that he has Lyme disease. I am not going to pull Elisa Rinna with, have you heard of Munchausen's by proxy? I think Yolanda has it. With her Lyme disease, where she was accused of, creating this. But I do think it's smart that he revealed it, because if that is the case, we know it's one of those diseases that makes you very tired, low energy, hard to manage. It's still a lot of things I don't understand. I don't know if you're ever truly cured from it or if you have like bouts of it. But it makes sense now. Epstein Island is being transformed into a luxury resort. I knew about this about a year ago because I was hanging out with Luann, and Luann has this friend who it's her husband who's this big financier, like investment person, had bought the island a couple years ago. And so I knew they were going to make it a resort, and it's going to be very expensive, and it's going to be very exclusive. It's only going to be like 35 rooms, and I'm sure each room will, be thousands of dollars a night. And it's just off those other islands, so it's like you could, it's not that hard to get to, and you don't necessarily need a private plane to get there. You could take a boat from like St. Thomas or whatever, and it's not that far. Am I surprised? No, I'm not, because I told you I knew, and I knew this would happen even before I had the info. And I think this guy bought it for $60 million. And yes, people will go. People will absolutely go. And maybe they won't post about it. Maybe they will. Maybe in a few years when it's ready to go, nobody will care. Will people turn it down? Did anyone turn down his invitations when they were invited before? Because even after he was convicted of the crimes and did the weekends at the Miami prison or whatever, people were still going to his dinner parties. There's an infamous dinner party that happened at his townhome after he did prison time for having those young girls at his place in which, he trafficked. After he got that easy sentence, he went back and had these parties where, people went from Chelsea Handler to Woody Allen to, Katie Couric. I don't know. They got invited to dinner, and people were like, I guess I'll go to this dinner. And doesn't mean they did anything, but they were there. Like, it's just weird. So yes, it's a beautiful spot. I've been on I've gone around it on a boat. We're on a catamaran visiting that time, a Christmas 2 ago, and went all around it, looked at it, took photos of it, and beautiful beaches, several of them. Yes, not surprised. And who knows what's going on with the list and all that. I'm following it. But right now, there seems to be no definitive information. except that Ghislaine has moved to the same prison, much nicer, much better conditions, is my understanding, with Elizabeth Holmes. One drop of blood, I could find out that who has cancer in my family. Her and, of course, Jen Shaw. So they're having the time of their lives. Carole Radziwill, who has been on Juicy Scoop several times, who I really adore, she made a surprise appearance on Watch What Happens Live. And it was like, the war is over. She and Andy are friendly. And if you're a fan of Juicy Scoop, which you are because you're listening to this, she's been on many times and been very candid about, my favorite scene ever in a reunion is when she had a tough season with Bethany, and Bethany was just on her ass because I think Bethany just decided she was going to make her an enemy and felt a little rejected by her. And Carole was like being gaslit the whole season, was like, what is going on? And that's when they would do those blogs, and they had to like write the blogs. And of course, Carole is an accomplished writer. She has 2 best-selling books. She was a journalist, and her blogs were really good. And so they would watch the episode, and then they'd have to write this blog, which they don't do anymore because all the bloggers do it for us, and we have podcasts now, but this is, 10 years ago. And she says to Andy, oh, what, are you afraid of her too, of Bethany too? And Andy goes, yeah, I'm afraid of her. And it was just this moment that I always felt that he was like, we're done. Then they never really talked again. And, but now she came on the show, and it was a great exchange. She did a Ramona impression, which, I am the queen of the Ramona impressions. I think maybe I inspired it, but she did great. And, it was funny. And then, of course, the bloggers that I follow was like, why doesn't anyone ask about the fact that her author photo that was on the back of her book was taken by Ghislaine Maxwell? And why doesn't anyone ask her about that? Someone said. I'm like, well, if you listen to Juicy Scoop, I did ask her. The first time I ever had her, I asked her. And she talked about how she met her in the New York world. And shortly after her husband died of cancer, Carole didn't want to be in New York as a young widow, and she went to London. And Ghislaine, who was like a friendly acquaintance, was like, well, are you there alone? I would like you to meet my friend. He'd love to take you out. And her friend was Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew picked up Carole, and he took her to like a ballet or something. There wasn't any romance. There wasn't an attraction. But she did set that up. And she had no idea the connection or anything that was going on at that time. And so, yes, there are photos, just because you're in a photo with somebody doesn't mean that you went to the island and like did sick shit with people. So, but, so yeah, like, no, I'm sure she doesn't want to talk about it now, and it keeps coming up. But the truth is like, I believe her. And that was the story that was told on my show that I believe that makes sense, that I thought was juicy and interesting. And she's never hidden the fact that there is this going around that she was the one who took the photo, and it was the best photo that she had, and she gave her credit. Crazy. But I mean, I'd love to see Carole back on TV. She's so witty and smart and funny. I also think it's interesting that she and Andy were friends prior to her getting on the show. And then Andy kind of made like a blanket rule for himself. Like, I'm not going to do social one-on-one things with, or even invite one housewife to my Christmas party or holiday party like I did Carole prior to her being on the show, because then it would be like a favoritism thing. It's like, he's the teacher, and, and I agree with that, Oh, you know what? I did have a teacher / director at the Groundlings where I do my sketch comedy. And, you're always begging to have that director pick your comedic scenes so that you could have as many sketches and be in as many things as possible. And it was really up to her. And, you'd hoped that it was objective, but still is subjective because she wants to put the funniest show together. And that she didn't have favorites. But I remember this one girl was babysitting for her all the time. That is the one girl that, if you remember the story, was the one that they, in the history of the Groundlings, they had to kick out because she was a huge issue for the company. Anyway, so I don't believe that you should have that type of situation. So I don't know if they'll be friendly now that she's not on the show and they can like hang out, or if they'll keep their distance. Or sometimes when you just get older, you're just like, who cares? I don't even know why we're mad at each other or not. What she said, she goes, I ran into Ramona, had a fun exchange, ran into Luann this past weekend. Luann, Ramona, and Jill Zarin played tennis together. I'm telling you, you guys, I am manifesting this for you, for me, for everyone that watches Bravo, a show with these women. And I'd love for Carole to also get in the mix. The four of them, plus I will take a Kelly Bessimone. I will take an Alex McCord. I will take a Dorinda. Oh my God, who else? I don't know. We gotta do this show either in New York or in South Beach or something, or Boca or something. But I feel like there is something brewing and the stars are aligning. And this was just one of those stars that got in the line of having her come back on Watch What Happens Live. But I loved it. Also on Watch What Happens Live, it was very interesting because we had Kim Zolciak on, and Andy asked about the money that she used of her daughters. So Ariana and Brielle are her adult daughters, and we saw them on the show growing up. We know that Kim and Kroy are getting divorced. I saw something where he has like a regular job now. I don't know, some kind of sales construction type of thing. So he's trying to make some money. They still have 4 minor children together. And in the Gen Z show, her daughter, Ariana, says, is it Ariana? Yeah, I think it's Ariana. Says, yeah, she took all my money that I made on brand deals since I was getting brand deals as a teenager, and I don't know where it went and what happened. And she's like, well, you know what? We needed the money. Like, I needed the money, and that's that. And I love the honesty. Listen, the girl wouldn't have this career without her mom. But at the same time, she wouldn't have this career if her mom hadn't put her on TV. But she was a single mom at the time. And the girls seem to be doing well now, and they seem to really like to be on TV. And she's like the most well-liked person on this new show, Next Generation, or what is it? Gen Z, Next Gen Z. No, it is. It's Next Gen New York City or something. Anyway, but called her out on it, and I thought it was really interesting. And they showed her walking up the stairs because she's still scared or has a phobia about elevators. And I remember when I was so excited to get my interview with her when she was with Kroy and Brielle came, and she had a very tight window to do my show before she had to get on a plane. So I rented a hotel room on Wilshire Boulevard so she could go do it. We set it all up, and then she was like, oh girl, I don't do elevators. And it was on the 9th floor. And I said, is there any way you can walk up her? And she's like, no, I'm too tired. And I was like, oh my God. So we had to set it all downstairs. We had to ask them, do you have like a conference room down here? We set it all up. And then she came on the show. But I mean, what she still is going up those stairs, maybe that's why her body looks good. This is interesting. Playboy relaunches its Playmate of the Month competition with judges including Shanna Moakler. Playboy the magazine is no longer, except they do 1 issue a year. But now, according to Page 6, there is talks that they are going to do a Playmate competition show with a TV show about it, looking for the next playmate. I believe this show will be greenlit. It's so interesting. I feel like there's this whole movement of kind of the early 2000s with the ads that we're seeing, with the nostalgia of these type of reality shows, and now even Playboy being that, Hugh is gone, and if maybe it's run by girls and it's done more less sexually and more like really you're the girl next door, but you're like, posing. I don't know. I could see it being, sort of like a Tyra Banks type of show where you have competition, where you have the people like a Shannon Moakler saying why you would be a great playmate and what the playmate of yesteryear was, that you still need to have those qualities that make a guy think that you would actually really like them and that you're attainable, but you're still so gorgeous and so naturally pretty, the girl next door. Getting the cover, the shoots, what goes into that. And then it might lead into, all getting in a house and the dynamics of, alliances and true friends and jealousy and all of that. And a lot of girls would want to do it today. And they are fascinated by the show The Girls Next Door, and being that you can see all these things like on Peacock, and young people are watching those shows from almost 20 years ago. So I think that's going to absolutely happen. Also, little update on the Karen Reed, the Turtle Boy guy that really broke open all the info of what was going on in this case and made many more people than just like tight Bostonians aware of it. He is still, sharing a lot of information, and he just did an interview and he said, according to him, that they are getting ready to sue the police department, Karen Reed and her attorney, for the way they collected the evidence and what happened. So that's juicy. Also, there's a photo going around with this guy and Ben Affleck. As you know, Ben Affleck is from Boston. And so I believe whatever movies are going to be done about this, because we know there is, or limited series or whatever, it appears Ben Affleck is going to be involved. I don't know that he would be playing the role, but he could certainly play the role of the attorney if he wanted to, her attorney, which I think would be a perfect role for him. Of course, we are, rooting for Drea Di Matteo to be playing Karen Reed, though there's so many others. We've talked about that. But hopefully he'll have a role and not just be producing and directing it, Ben Affleck. Okay. Kim Kardashian has introduced a new line of Skims. It is already sold out, and it's the Skims material, and it goes around your face like what people use after a facelift. And it is sold out, and comes in all the different skin colors, and you're to wear that at night. And it's getting it's not actually getting that much controversy, but it's getting some. And I wanted to share. So Tova Leigh, who was on my show, and she's got a great Instagram, and she's an author, wrote, "It's a compression wrap for your face designed to sculpt your jawline while you sleep, made from shapewear fabric, worn like a muzzle, sold as empowerment, marketed as self-love, but built in the belief that you're not even allowed to relax without fixing something." I thought that was really interesting, and it's true. I don't blame Kim for doing this. I can see why someone would think it might work, and maybe people will say, yeah. I mean, I've seen other versions of this on TikTok where people are like, I wear this chin strap mask, and now look how tight my neck is, and it's all about the jawline. Like, that's been the new, like, people have moved away from the lips. It's all about the jawline, and there's exercise guys are doing to like get a better jawline and things like this. But I was like, God, you're right. Like, even the sleeping now, there's like mouth taping and, all these, and you're like, God, you're right. Like, why can't I just sleep? And that a young girl would now be wearing this. So, but like I said, it's sold out, because you could see why someone's like, sure, I'll do it. Like, if I could look better when I wake up. But I thought her point of like, we can't even have 8 hours of sleep without thinking about trying to look cuter. So this doctor talked about it, and he said that according to him, and it's Dr. Jalvu Mabadi, he said it is not good for you. According to him, he thinks it's actually bad, that it could actually hurt your situation. And the only people that should be wearing it is people that actually had a facelift and we wear it temporarily after. And that without it, it's like, the whole point is puffiness and stuff comes from your lymph nodes. And that's why people do the lymphatic massages. And it's actually, supposed to be draining, going down and doing massages to drain it down. That's how you like snatch your face. And you see a lot of those kind of little massage things that people do. And so this is actually the opposite of doing that. So according to him, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Little update on Brandi Glanville's Nair situation. So she put Nair on her face. And a lot of people were concerned. She said, it works just like a chemical peel. Her face was very red. She talked about the parasite that's still moving around in it. And then she posted, I would like to say none of this is Nair's fault. I misused it and got the one for the body. And actually, I think she misspelled it, but she goes, actually, the skin on my body has never been so soft. I don't know if I'm telling you guys, I just think she's joking and liking that we're talking about her again. I don't know how she is mentally. Hopefully she's fine and this is just like a fun thing she's doing to get us to talk about her. I don't know. But according to her, she still has a parasite from Morocco. Okay, so now I'm going to get into Hunting Wives. Let me tell you about this show. Let's get into it. So it is great fun. It is great fun. It's not the best show. There's a lot of dumb things that are frustrating. So I'm going to tell you about it best as I can. And there's probably going to be some spoilers. So if you want to check out now, fine. But here we go. So my friend tells me, you got to watch Hunting Wives. I'm like, is it reality or scripted? It's scripted. Okay, great. Starts out, I'm totally into it. This girl, Brittany Snow, comes and she and her husband moved to Texas from Boston. And they have a little boy and they go to his boss's big Texan mansion. And she meets this girl who is, what is her name? Hold on one second. Her name is Malin Ackerman, who I've loved in everything this girl's done. So she shows up and she's got this wig on. I talked about the wigs. A lot of people are wearing wigs. It's to save your hair from damage. The Kardashians wear wigs. Nicole Kidman wears a wig in every show. I think it's to save time and to protect your hair. But this wig is not very good. But she has this like Texas wig on and she's super sexy. And the sex is crazy. So a lot of women are questioning their sexuality after watching it. I have always been a fan of like bisexual, like soft porn, Cinemax kind of fun. Okay. Where it's, all of a sudden two girls just start like making out with each other and there's just like titties on tits. And you're like, okay, that's pretty nice. And back in the day, there used to be a thing called Cinemax. And this is when people actually had to like film porn like at people's houses. And it was always in the Valley. And Peter and I would watch it. And then we would like pause and get in fights about where we thought it was shot. I'd be like, this is in Northridge. He'd be like, I think it's Chatsworth. I'm like, I think I went to this open house. I think I know exactly where this is. And it would be a fun thing that we'd do together. Anyway, it reminded me of that. It was done really cheesy, lots of gratuitous scenes, mostly because this character is that played by her with the wig. I don't know how she has time. She's having sex with this girl in her friend group who's married to the sheriff. So they're like secret lesbians. Then she has sex with her husband. Then we find out that she's also having sex with her other best friend's son, who is a senior in high school. And so they're they're screwing all the time too. And then she decides to have sex with the new girl in town, Brittany Snow. And she lets Brittany Snow know, like, I'm also having sex with this teenager. And Brittany Snow doesn't really care because she's like enjoying the lesbian sex with her too. I am like, oh my God, this girl's having so much sex. No wonder she doesn't have time to blow out her hair and just to wear a bad wig, because who the fuck has time to do all this? And then there's, so it involves like a murder. It also involves a church. And they make there's this junior pastor there. And because he's like a young junior pastor, they have him in a wool beanie, even though it's August in Texas. And he's always wearing the wool beanie because that's like the look of a young hip pastor. The wool beanie, the ripped jeans, like couple, rubber bracelets, whatever. And he's a creep. And then there's like the sheriff. And then this is okay, now this is a real spoiler. This is the first time I've ever seen this done in any TV show, but they have a woman on man pegging scene. I could not believe it. So I was like, oh my God. I first of all, before I got to that part, I had seen there's a pegging scene. And I was like, oh my God, like, la, 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 la. Like, that's why I told you, if you're watching, if I get one comment that says, Heather, you ruined this for me, I'm going to be fucking pissed because I warned you. So the sheriff was trying to find out who murdered this girl, okay? Because Brad's girlfriend gets murdered. And we don't know if it's Margot with the bad wig, who he's fucking, who's a 40-year-old, who's married to the guy that's going to be governor one day, who's also fucking the sheriff's wife, who's also fucking Brittany Snow, who's the star of the show, who's married to a man with a child. I mean, there's so many twists and turns, but then all of a sudden we see a scene where the big sheriff is getting pegged by the sometime lesbian redheaded wife. And they all have guns and they're all like shooting animals and stuff. So we don't know who killed this young girl, Brad's girlfriend, who's poor. And then we think, is it Brad's mom who killed his girlfriend, Abby, because she thinks she's trash and she's afraid the girl's going to ruin her child's life. And there's little hints of that she's caught for him. So there's incestuous hints between Margot and her weird brother and all this stuff. So you're like, oh my God, where is this going next? And okay, again, this is a spoiler. So then Abby's mother, who lost her child, is convinced that it was Brad or Brad's mom that killed her daughter. And she just shows up with a shotgun at Brad's mom's house. And we don't know what happens. And then Margot and the other girls are like, God, Brad's mom seems a little off lately, don't you think? I mean, she didn't even come to the country bar with us tonight to do shots and ride the bull. That's so unlike her. I'm like, Brad's mom is the pastor's wife. Brad's mom also had her son be questioned by the police for killing his girlfriend, who's now dead. So you don't think that would make her a little off? You think it's appropriate that she'd be at the bar? They're like, let's go see what's going on with her because, we're a little suspicious about her, whatever. They show up at their house. She's all perfectly coiffed. And she's like, oh, hi, girls. What are you doing here? And they're like, we are coming in and having a drink. And she's like, don't go in the kitchen. It's messy. And they go in and they see that Abby's mother, who came over with a shotgun, is now on the kitchen floor, bloody, with her shotgun next to her. And she's like, I had to kill her. She came here and I had to kill her. And they're like, what? What do you mean? What are you doing? And so then she holds her gun. She's like, I had to protect myself. And then the sheriff's wife, who's also sleeping with Margot, shoots her because she's afraid she was going to shoot them. So now Brad's mother is dead, and they all think that she's the one who killed his girlfriend, Abby. Abby's mother is dead. So now there's 3 people that are dead. And, okay, should I tell you who did it? All right, fine. So 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 the case is closed. The case is closed, even though they think it's Brittany Snow, because right before the girl was shot in the woods, they saw Brittany Snow running after her. And Brittany Snow's gun was used in the crime. But she was so wasted with Margot, making out with Margot, and then Margot fucking Brad, the teenager, and then she was making out with Brad's friend, that she doesn't remember chasing her in the woods or why her gun went missing. So then we find out that that Margot and her trashy brother Kyle are actually the illegitimate children of this doctor, and that he was the alibi for the night of Abby's murder because Margot took the gun of Brittany Snow's because it was closest to her, and was afraid. You know what? I still don't know why she killed Abby, but she killed Abby. She killed Abby, and then she had her dumb brother clean it up, and then the brother was so dumb that he sold the gun to somebody else, and it showed up in like a robbery. So then it got tracked back to Brittany. And I'm like, so you killed this girl because you didn't want anyone to find out that that you were fucking her boyfriend. And because of that, then the mother was dead, and now 2 mothers are dead because of it. But you're going to take it to the grave, whatever. So Brittany knows that Margot did it, and she's driving with all this information. She's confronted her, and Margot's brother Kyle like runs her off the road and is like, I need to talk to you. Like, you're not gonna ruin my sister's life and tell everybody that she killed this girl, who then resulted in 2 other people being dead. And she ends up hitting him, but she hit him after she had some drinks because she struggles with alcohol. And then she manages to, luckily she hit him right near a big cliff, and she was able to drag his body and then kick it off the cliff. And now there's going to be a season 2. So a lot of people are thinking about wanting to be a lesbian. That's a good part of it. Also, this is why you probably shouldn't have guns in the house. And the fact that no one was more disgusted by this girl fucking the 18-year-old boy is beyond me. And Margot got pregnant with the 18-year-old boy's kid. So that was another part of it. And she was like a hooker and whatever. It was entertaining. It was juicy. So you wanted my take. There's my take. I did it at the end of the show. And if you now want to watch it to just tell me what other frustrates, I didn't think that the detective was poor casting, this female detective. That never made sense. You know, it was campy and a lot of things were confusing. And I've talked to people about it and then they've corrected me. So you're probably screaming as you're driving saying, no, Heather, you missed this one part. It was so many moving parts, but you've asked me to talk about it, so I decided I would. Oh my gosh. So there we go, everybody. What a great show. Thank you. I did it. And I can't wait to hear your comments, and I will address them on Patreon. You go to heathermcdonald.net. And then also make sure you subscribe to both my YouTube channels. One is where you watch the podcast, and the other one is Heather McDonald Official, which is the more lifestyle, fun videos, and a new one will drop later this weekend. Thank you. Goodbye.